that serve the light.
Hi guys, welcome to Marvelous Gamers, your lair to all things gaming. Let's take a detour from the list-based stuff we usually do. I mean, if you're new here, you should definitely check out the rest ensemble of our videos. Anyway, let's begin with today's video. So, Assassin's Creed Shadows has been making waves long before its release, but not always for the reasons Ubisoft intended. This latest installment in the famed franchise has been hit with several delays, bugs, and creative controversies that have made its journey to launch a rocky one. With players eagerly awaiting news, we will explore the reasons behind the delays, the cultural significance of Yasuke, and how Ubisoft is responding to player feedback and controversy. So without any further ado, let's get into the video.
Our people deserve.
Why the delay? Development challenges and fine-tuning. Now, when Assassin's Creed Shadows was first announced, fans were eager to dive back into the world of historical fiction, but excitement quickly turned to frustration as multiple delays were announced. According to Insider Gaming, one of the key reasons for the delay was an overwhelming number of bugs that surfaced during playtesting. These weren't just minor glitches. There were significant issues with frame rate drops, AI behavior, and even mission-breaking bugs that made parts of the game unplayable. Ubisoft made the difficult decision to push the release to 2025, despite the initial hype surrounding its earlier release window. But the problems weren't only technical. Ubisoft has been wrestling with balancing its sprawling narrative and maintaining the high production values that fans have come to expect. The decision to take extra time stems from the lessons learned from their recent game Star Wars Outlaws, which faced similar issues during development. Ubisoft saw that rushing the game would only lead to negative backlash, much like what happened with Assassin's Creed Unity, which launched in a buggy state. Ubisoft's philosophy here is simple: better to delay and perfect than release a broken game. Players might be frustrated by the wait, but the company believes the final product will be worth it, avoiding the pitfalls of earlier missteps and delivering a refined experience.
Together. There is no honor in preying on the weak.
Yasuke's story, balancing history and fiction. Yasuke, a real historical figure and the game's protagonist, is perhaps one of the most intriguing aspects of Assassin's Creed Shadows. Yasuke was an African samurai who served under the famous Japanese warlord Oda Nobunaga, making him one of the very few non-Japanese samurai in history. Ubisoft has positioned Yasuke as a central figure in Shadows, and they've committed to making sure his story remains as authentic as possible, while blending the franchise's signature mix of history and fiction. One of the biggest challenges Ubisoft faces is getting that balance just right. Fans of the series are used to liberties being taken with history, but Yasuke's story carries a weight that demands cultural and historical sensitivity. To ensure accuracy, Ubisoft has reportedly brought on cultural consultants to help with everything from the depiction of Yasuke's appearance to his interactions with historical figures like Nobunaga. According to reports, Ubisoft has made strides to portray feudal Japan authentically, including the architecture, customs, and Yasuke's unique place in that world. But at the same time, this is still an Assassin's Creed game, so while there will be plenty of historical detail, expect to see plenty of stealth assassinations, conspiracy theories, and, of course, hidden blades. The real magic lies in how Ubisoft plans to weave Yasuke's legacy into the Assassin's Creed lore without sacrificing the fun gameplay elements fans love.
The galaxy is yours for the taking.
Learning from mistakes, Star Wars Outlaws' impact. Ubisoft has had its fair share of developmental hiccups over the years, but Star Wars Outlaws seems to have provided the team with valuable insights for Assassin's Creed Shadows. While Outlaws was praised for its expansive world and story, it faced criticism for clunky gameplay mechanics and pacing issues that dragged the experience down. Ubisoft has taken that feedback seriously and is applying those lessons directly to Shadows. One of the most significant improvements Ubisoft is focusing on for Shadows is gameplay pacing. They've acknowledged that Outlaws was too slow at times, with missions that felt like filler. Shadows, on the other hand, aims to deliver a more streamlined experience with tighter missions and more engaging side quests. The goal is to avoid the dreaded open-world bloat that has plagued many modern titles. Combat is also getting a significant overhaul. Outlaws received criticism for its somewhat stiff combat mechanics, and Ubisoft wants to make sure that Shadows doesn't suffer the same fate. According to reports, they are focusing on making combat more dynamic, responsive, and fitting to Yasuke's samurai background. This means quicker, more fluid combat encounters that blend seamlessly with the franchise's trademark stealth action. If they can nail these adjustments, Shadows could benefit from the hard-earned lessons of Star Wars Outlaws.
Burns in the name of unification.
Yasuke and the diversity debate. While Yasuke's inclusion has sparked excitement for his historical relevance, it has also ignited a heated debate among certain sections of the gaming community. Some fans have accused Ubisoft of using Yasuke's story as a way to jump on the diversity bandwagon rather than focusing on organic storytelling. Yasuke's story, however, is far from a token effort. As a historical figure, his existence challenges preconceived notions about race in feudal Japan, making him a fascinating and essential character to explore. Ubisoft has defended its decision by pointing out that Yasuke's tale is one that needs to be told, offering players a unique perspective on the era. Ubisoft's creative team has been vocal about their intent to make Yasuke a well-rounded character who honors the legacy of the real-life figure. But not everyone is convinced. Some argue that the game's focus on diversity could overshadow other aspects of the story, and there are concerns that Ubisoft may be pushing an agenda rather than letting the narrative speak for itself. Still, many in the gaming community appreciate Ubisoft's efforts to broaden representation in mainstream gaming, especially through a character as compelling as Yasuke. Whether you agree or not, there's no denying that his inclusion has generated plenty of discussion.
You are still a frog in a well who knows nothing of the...
Ubisoft stands firm on diversity. Despite the pushback from some fans, Ubisoft has stood its ground on the decision to make Yasuke the central character of Assassin's Creed Shadows. They've been clear that diversity isn't just a buzzword for them, it's integral to the Assassin's Creed series, which has always sought to represent different cultures and historical figures from around the world. Ubisoft's response to criticism has been twofold. First, they've emphasized that Yasuke's story is rooted in history, not an attempt to pander to modern sensibilities. As the first African samurai, Yasuke's life is a remarkable example of cross-cultural interaction during an era often associated with isolationist policies in Japan. This makes his inclusion a natural fit for a series that thrives on exploring untold stories from history. Ubisoft has also reiterated that they're committed to telling Yasuke's story with the depth and respect it deserves, relying on historical consultants and experts to ensure they get the details right. Second, Ubisoft is framing Yasuke as a character who embodies the Assassin's Creed ethos, someone who stands up against injustice and tyranny, which is what the Assassins are all about. They're confident that Yasuke's journey will resonate with players, not just because of his historical significance, but because he represents the themes that have defined the series from the start. While some fans may remain skeptical, Ubisoft's unwavering stance on diversity may help set a precedent for how game studios approach representation moving forward. More time, more Polish. Ubisoft's promise. Ubisoft knows they're under a microscope with Assassin's Creed Shadows, and they've been transparent about the reasons for the game's delays. According to reports, the additional time is being spent polishing every aspect of the game, from the visual details of feudal Japan to the intricacies of Yasuke's character development. The extra months of development are also being used to refine the game's mechanics, ensuring smooth gameplay across all platforms. One of the key areas of focus is combat, which Ubisoft promises will be more fluid and dynamic than in past titles. They're also addressing fan concerns about AI behavior, with efforts to make enemies more reactive and intelligent during stealth missions. The goal is to offer players a satisfying mix of stealth and action, two elements that have defined the franchise. Ubisoft has also promised that Shadows will be a visual feast, with next-gen graphics that fully immerse players in the world of feudal Japan. The delay technology has allowed them to fine-tune the game's lighting, textures, and animations, ensuring that everything looks as realistic as possible. Additionally, they're optimizing the game for multiple platforms, meaning whether you're playing on a console or PC, the experience should be seamless. While delays are never fun, Ubisoft's commitment to taking the time necessary to deliver a polished product is a promising sign. If all goes as planned, Shadows could set a new standard for what fans expect from the Assassin's Creed series moving forward. Financial pressure. Can Assassin's Creed Shadows save Ubisoft? Ubisoft isn't just betting on Assassin's Creed Shadows to be a hit, they need it to be. The company has faced several financial challenges in recent years, with underperforming titles and internal struggles adding to their woes. Shadows, as one of their flagship releases, has the potential to turn things around. A successful launch would not only boost their financial standing, but also restore some of the goodwill lost with fans after previous missteps. It's a lot of pressure for one game to carry, but Ubisoft is banking on Shadows to help them bounce back. Shadows everywhere, expanding to multiple platforms. Assassin's Creed Shadows is set to be one of the most accessible entries in the franchise, with Ubisoft planning a multi-platform release. The game will be available on next-gen consoles like the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X, as well as PC. Ubisoft is also exploring cloud gaming platforms, making it easier for players without high-end hardware to experience the game. This broad release strategy ensures that Shadows will reach as many players as possible, which is crucial for Ubisoft's financial recovery. Listening to fans. Player feedback shapes the game. One thing Ubisoft has learned from past releases is that player feedback is invaluable. With Assassin's Creed Shadows, Ubisoft has made a conscious effort to involve the community in the development process. From beta testing to online surveys, Ubisoft is actively listening to what players want and making adjustments accordingly. For instance, fans have been vocal about the importance of a tight narrative, and Ubisoft has promised that Shadows will have a more focused storyline compared to some of the more bloated entries in the series. Moreover, player input is shaping the game's combat mechanics. Ubisoft has received a lot of feedback about how clunky combat felt in previous titles, especially in large-scale battles, and they've been working on making combat more responsive and fluid. The goal is to create a combat system that feels both intuitive and satisfying, while still retaining the depth and strategy that Assassin's Creed is known for. By actively involving the player base, Ubisoft hopes to avoid some of the missteps of the past and deliver a game that aligns more closely with what fans are looking for. This collaborative approach could be a key factor in Assassin's Creed Shadows' success. Marvelous verdict. All in all, Assassin's Creed Shadows may have had a rocky development journey, but the end result looks promising. With Ubisoft taking extra time to perfect the game and learn from past mistakes, Shadows has the potential to be one of the standout entries in the franchise. Yuks Story brings a fresh perspective to the series, and Ubisoft's commitment to cultural accuracy, diversity, and community involvement shows they're serious about delivering a polished and meaningful experience. Delays aside, Assassin's Creed Shadows could very well be worth the wait, both for die-hard fans and newcomers alike. If you're excited for Assassin's Creed Shadows or enjoyed this deep dive into its development, don't forget to smash that like button, drop a comment with your thoughts, and hit subscribe for more awesome content just like this.